To start off the conversation, can I ask you to share a brief assessment of the economic landscape as of now from the eyes of an investor?
It's good to just go back and see what Sri Lanka has been through in the last 4 to 5 years. Starting off with the Easter attack that took place in 2019. Then you had the global pandemic. Since then, I would say Sri Lanka, the government soon after the 2022 crisis and even the government that took over in 2024, they have done a very good job in achieving stability for the country. So stability has been the one strong positive thing that has, worked for Sri Lanka in the last 2 to 3 years. But what's next is the question. What's the kind of growth? Where is it going to come from? And how sustainable it could be? It doesn't, in my opinion, derail us significantly from the trajectory that we've already at. There would be short-term disturbances, but like with anything else, we would come out of this as well.
And what would you say are probably the challenges, the main challenges that investors, both foreign and local, would have to face in the coming year?
The popular view as of right now, and this is it's a moving target obviously, is that the impact will not be that significant. And let's keep our fingers crossed that that's what it is. There was a good thinking process behind, the whole SOE restructure. Who are the entities? What is the burden that it has on the government coffers? Which are the ones that can be earmarked for privatization, for spin-offs? And certain SOE restructures are moving along quite well with quite a bit of steam and momentum. But all that came to a dead halt. Fact is, existing taxpayers are being taxed more. Whilst they are being compliant, whilst they are paying significant sums to the government, you hear the authorities coming after them, trying to look for every little loophole to squeeze more out of them.
Sri Lanka's economic and investment landscapes are ever changing. What do they look like today? We spoke about all of this and more with Moiz Rehmanjee. Stay tuned.
For 30 years, LMD has been the voice of business in Sri Lanka, capturing the pulse of the nation's corporate landscape through its iconic covers. Each cover tells a story, from the first edition in 1994 to the present day, narrating key moments, leaders and trends that have shaped Sri Lanka's business ecosystem. Over the years, LMD covers have featured thought leaders, business pioneers and game-changing innovations, reflecting the evolution of industries and the economy. As we celebrate 30 years, these covers represent more than just publications. They are a testament to LMD's legacy of excellence in business journalism and its unwavering commitment to being Sri Lanka's leading voice of business. LMD, Sri Lanka's voice of business, a legacy of 30 years.
Hello and welcome to LMDtv. The topic of conversation today is investment outlook, and I'm here with the Group CFO of Hemas Holdings, Moiz Rehmanjee. Welcome to our show.
Thanks, Ruwandi. Good to be here.
Lovely to have you. To start off the conversation, can I ask you to share a brief assessment of the economic landscape as of now from the eyes of an investor?
Sure. Thanks again. So, to understand the landscape as of right now, it's good to just go back and see what Sri Lanka has been through in the last 4 to 5 years. So unlike any other country, we've been through a longer series of one disaster after the other. Starting off with the Easter attack that took place in 2019, which was entirely local. Then you had the global pandemic, which went off on 2020 to 21, 22, depends on what you count as the end to that. And just as we were coming out of the whole pandemic saga, the 2022 crisis came and hit us. And since then, I would say Sri Lanka, the government soon after the 2022 crisis and even the government that took over in 2024, they have done a very good job in achieving stability for the country. Be it inflation, which was, hovering at about 70 to 90% in 2022, down to single digits. We in fact had 2 years of deflation in the last 2 years, which is now coming back to low single digits. Severe rupee depreciation. We went from 200 to about 360, 370 Speculation was that it's going to hit the 400s, and we came back to where we are right now. So the turbulence was phenomenal. The complete halt, deadlock on the imports. Now to come out of all of that and reach stability so fast is phenomenal, right? And we need to give that credit. But the question that lingers in the minds of investors, both local and international, that whilst we can cheer on the stability that has been achieved, what's next? What's the growth going to be like? Where is it going to come from? And how do we ensure that it's going to be sustainable? I need to add that even after we achieve stability post 2022, there was speculation last year about the political stability. A lot of adverse media coverage, especially in the mainstream international media, about the political landscape, the imminent changes, and what that means. Fortunately, none of that came true as well. We achieved political stability as well post the 2024 elections, and we got through that as well quite seamlessly. So stability has been the one strong positive thing that has worked for Sri Lanka in the last 2 to 3 years. But what's next is the question. Again, what's the kind of growth? Where is it going to come from? And how sustainable it could be? And at this stage, I could also add that, whilst we were just making the turn, the budgets were announced for 2026 just last month in November. And there were no adverse surprises or any shockers in the budget. It was pretty much a mainstream budget, as per people's expectations. Whilst all that, took place, one thing that came and hit us again quite unexpectedly was the recent storm, the cyclones, and everything that it brought along with it. Now, next few weeks, that's going to be the new buzz. But it doesn't, in my opinion, derail us significantly from the trajectory that we were already at.
Of course.
There would be short-term disturbances, but, like with anything else, we would come out of this as well.
And what would you say are probably the challenges, the main challenges that investors, both foreign and local, would have to face in the coming year,
All right.
2026?
Well, apart from the common question, which is still lingering and unanswered about, what is going to be the impact of the floods. So let's not go too much into that because, the answers to that will unfold in the next few days and weeks. But the popular view as of right now, and this is it's a moving target, obviously, is that the impact will not be that significant. And let's keep our fingers crossed that that's what it is.
Yes.
But apart from that, from a medium to a long-term standpoint, the questions that remain in people's minds is the political stability, not just at the highest level, but, at policy level.
Yeah.
And that's where you need to look at what the policies are, how they keep changing. And apart from the policies itself, the execution of the policies. Now, before the 2024 elections, the government was very open to the SOE restructure, privatizations. Post the 2024 election, that is now a question mark. We don't.
Still in the works.
It's still in the works. Yeah, it's still in the works. We do not hear a hard yes, we do not hear a hard no also. It's something that's just floating out there. But that is a good example of inconsistency because, you had, there was a good thinking process behind, the whole SOE restructure, who are the entities, what is the burden that it has on the government coffers, which are the ones that can be earmarked for privatization, for spin-offs. And there was investor interest, there was attractions, there were inquiries, and certain SOE restructures were moving along quite well with quite a bit of steam and momentum, but all that came to a dead halt. And that kind of inconsistency is also significant when you talk of things such as tax policies. Yes, from 2022 or rather from 2023, tax rates, be it direct, indirect, none of that has changed significantly. But the way tax compliance is being executed is something that needs to be, questioned. Now, we hear the good news about the government's revenue collection, 40% growth, 50% growth, which is commendable. But I would like to hear, where is this growth in revenue coming from? From the new taxpayers who have been registered within in revenue. How much of the growth in tax revenue is coming from the new taxpayers, and how much of a growth in the revenue is coming from the existing taxpayers? Fact is, existing taxpayers are being taxed more. Whilst they're being compliant, whilst they're paying significant sums to the government, you hear the authorities coming after them, trying to look for every little loophole to squeeze more out of them. Those kind of things need to be, addressed. So, like I said, it's not just the policy, but also execution of the policy. These things matter. Apart from that, what is Sri Lanka offering in terms of the consistency to investors once they come in with certain expectations? Now, there have been things such as our port city. It has been earmarked as a zone that has so many attractions to it. But one of the key attractions to it is the tax holiday.
Yes.
Now, that has been under quite a bit of contention, and now there are certain changes that are being proposed on how those tax holidays will be tweaked. The eligibility to those tax holidays, how they will be tweaked. Again, something that people don't want to, hear. And even when initiatives like this are launched, you don't see or hear investors flooding in from overseas, or investors just jumping onto the opportunity that here's something that's available, let's go in there. They're waiting to see.
True.
Right, okay, so much has been offered. Is it here to stay? Are they going to change again 6 months later? Are they going to change again 1 year later? Are they going to change again when there's some political pressures? People watch and wait. And whilst they're watching and waiting, things do change.
Yes.
And at least they change slightly, but even the slight change has a negative connotation, because it kind of shows itself as like a there you go, it happened again.
Exactly.
There's a change. So can we really depend on everything at a larger scale of things also remaining consistent?
It's time now to take a very short break, but we'll soon be back to talk more about investments.
Display your brand message on digital screens at prime locations. The largest digital advertising network in Sri Lanka. Emerging Media.
Welcome back to the show. We're in conversation with the Group CFO of Hemas Holdings, Moiz Rehmanjee. And from the perspective of like global investors, I mean, international investors who are coming in, yes, they are right now looking, waiting and seeing. Then, of course, we have all the global uncertainties and the volatility, which has, I think, also created a little bit of a level playing field, especially if I talk of things like apparel and all that, where we were seeing a nicer light, I would say. How would global vulnerabilities, together with internal inconsistencies, how would those really play about to someone who's looking at it from outside?
Okay. So since you took apparel as an example, yes, apparel has had in the recent few, maybe 2 to 3 years, moments of growth.
I know.
There's a few declines and then there's a growth again. But if you look at it from a longer term horizon, in the past 10 years, first 5 years and the 5 years thereafter, the industry has not grown
Right.
on a
Yes.
5-year horizon. You may see years of growth in the last 5 years, but that's because it's on a lower base the previous year. But if you take the 5-year average, it has not grown. Versus if you take other industries, agriculture, value-added agriculture, maritime services, the growth has been much more interesting.
Yes.
So I'm not going to cherry pick to say this industry or that industry is where we need to invest for the purpose of addressing global chaos.
Yes.
But the point is, we need to have a much more spread out basket.
That's true.
Yeah. If you compare ourselves with certain East Asian countries, where they also started where we are or where we were 20 years ago, focusing on just one industry, or predominantly 1 or 2 industries for the exports, they've diversified extensively from one to so many others. Whereas in our case, we pretty much stayed to where we were. And it's a diversification that we need to really have, because then, depending on what happens globally, you have the permutation combinations within your own internal basket to play with. And that's something we don't have right now. The moment there's a tariff, there's an immediate knee-jerk reaction. Okay, what happens to industry A?
Right.
But there is no conversation about, okay, if industry A is impacted, do we ever fall back with industry B, C, X, Y, Z, whatever? So that's something we need to do. And we need to understand what these global dynamics are. And based on those understandings, we can also determine where we want to position ourselves.
Right.
Now, one hot topic these days for the past few months and years has been Sri Lanka is at the southern tip of one of the fastest growing and the largest economies in the world. So can we piggyback on that? Right? So where are our conversations around that? Have they gone deep enough? The world is moving away from universal liberalism
Yes.
and going into
Regional.
regional or country-to-country free trade agreements. Where are we on that scale? How many boxes of free trade countries with whom we can potentially sign free trade agreements have we ticked off? That's what we need to be addressing, because that gives you the whole spread options for you to play with based on how the global dynamics work. That would be my response to that question.
Lovely. And I really like what you said, like, not to have eggs, all in one basket.
Exactly.
We do see that there are, more investor interest in areas like tech. But then, of course, you have the risk of overcrowding because when everyone kind of flocks into that.
Yeah.
But then, and of course, when you talk of emerging sectors that people can come and invest in, I'm not sure whether we do have the rest of the infrastructure, the ecosystems to entice them. How should Sri Lanka look at this?
So, firstly, I would not say that tech is the only place,
Right.
or the tech is one of them. But we need to find our sweet spot as to where we will play in that space. Because we are not alone, right? If you talk of tech core competencies, the talent pool, there are competitors all around us. India itself is one, right? Countries such as the Philippines and the other East Asian countries as well. They are also quite up there. So the competition is severe. We need to figure out what makes us interesting. Now, can we have an ecosystem where we are, as a country, attractive to digital nomads?
Yeah.
Who can come and work from here? Cost of living, if you're in Sri Lanka, you would say it high. You would say it is high. But if you're coming from another country, so coming from certain East Asian countries, you'll find the cost of living relatively low. Cost of real estate, right? Cost of accommodation, cost of private education, healthcare, relatively low. The weather is good except for those one-off storms.
One-off storm.
Yeah, the weather is really good, quite predictable, very comfortable, easygoing lifestyle.
Yeah, quality of life.
Very friendly culture.
Yeah.
This is a nice place to be. But are we out there in the global map, right? To market ourselves as a place where as a country where it's a nice place to live. The people who know are here, they're enjoying it.
Sure.
And you do see a couple of digital nomads. You do see retired foreigners, who want to spend their time in Sri Lanka. So we have that. But have we really marketed ourselves? And to market ourselves, we need to get out there in the international media to show that we are a lot more than a 2022 economic crisis.
Yeah.
We are a lot more than persistent political crisis. We are a lot more than the climate disasters that take place. There's a lot more else going on there. And that's where we need to, press more. To give you a few, lighthearted examples. Now, I've been an expat myself, working in other countries. And whenever I had the opportunity to consider another country, one of the first things I would look for is, does this country have a Starbucks chain?
Of course.
Does this country have a McDonald's chain? Yeah. Now, these are very soft but quite effective indicators on what the investment climate is over there for international investors and for tourists and for, expats who want to settle down. Because these chains are kind of a signature on what the interest is of international companies in that country. And whether this country has the basic standards, right, the basic consumption demand for this change to be open there. And of course, you have something that is known in that country. Everyone knows McDonald's. You go to any McDonald's chain in any part of the world, you know what's available. And the taste is also very similar. Anyone knows a Starbucks. So when you have those familiarity, those are soft factors, right, which make it more interesting for anyone to come and settle down as well. Because they know they'll get some familiar cuisine, they'll get their preferred coffee options over there. And these are some of the softer things that we know what has happened to us in the last few years. What we already had, some of it we have lost.
Of course, we've lost.
Yeah.
For sure.
But we need to get more of that in. And these are some of the softer things apart from the more technical policy level, economic things we can talk about. These are some of the softer things that also do matter. And it's something we need to really press on.
Of course, of course. Moiz, it's been such an interesting and very insightful conversation, actually. But unfortunately, I'm down to my last question. So all this time, I think we were talking about it from, the perspective of what we need to do, from a national kind of angle. But if I kind of, flip it a little bit, looking at it from an investor's point of view, like local or foreign, what kind of sentiment do you think will bode well? Is it going to be strong conviction or cautious optimism, or kind of like a calm wait and see approach?
Okay, certainly not the calm wait and see.
Right.
So as far as the country is concerned, strong conviction.
Right. Yes.
Cautious optimism, depending on where you want to pitch as an investor. Now, I touched on a few things earlier as well regarding what has grown in Sri Lanka on the export side. Value-added agriculture, maritime services. Apart from that, the little niches that we could have on the IT side.
Yes.
But that apart as well, if you talk of things such as on the tourism side, right? Not the conventional tourism,
Right.
beaches or with the palm trees, the golden sands and all of that, but something much more unique on the wellness side.
Yeah.
The high-end tourism, the MICE, which is picking up, by the way, on default mode without any real intervention as well.
Exactly.
There's so many conferences that are happening in Sri Lanka, investor conferences, so many other events that are happening, where Sri Lanka is being cherry-picked specific because it's a country that is accessible by citizens of all other countries. And that is evolving by itself without any real intervention. It's a golden opportunity.
Yes.
So these are areas which are quite interesting, quite attractive, and it's almost ready to take off.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have the infrastructure, not at least to a certain extent.
Yes, and we have test cases where it has worked. We have the examples as well where it has worked. So areas such as that, definitely you can come up with a lot of optimism.
Right.
Cautious, yeah, if you're going to try something new,
Yes.
I suppose you would need to be cautiously optimistic in those areas. But the bottom line is, as a country, where do you see it? To achieve the kind of stability that we have in the last 2 years, to acknowledge the resilience that Sri Lanka has had in the past 30 to 40 years, post civil war. We had the tsunami in 2004. There's been quite a bit that has been going on here. So in that whole backdrop, Sri Lanka has been quite resilient, and so has its people. That's an attraction that needs to draw attention from investors with optimism. Very often when it's election time or when something else unexpected has hit us, there's a lot of negative vibes out there and questions being asked. Okay, what happens if this happens after election? What happens if that political party comes to power after elections? And my response always to those kind of questions is, if you just look at us in the last 30, 40 years, the colors of the political parties have changed, from one to the other to the next. But has anything really significantly derailed? Yeah, there have been tweaks and shifts in policies, but has anything significantly derailed in terms of growth, in terms of a crisis, in terms of inflation, other than the one-offs that we saw in 2022-21, has anything yet significantly derailed? The answer is no. So there is a slow and steady pace, resilience, stability that has always been inherently there. And that's what you need to really take into account. And lastly, what I would say, Ruwandi, is, yes, there's been brain drain. Yes, there's been outflow of investors and perhaps less so investment ins. But if you really want to hear the underlying story, you need to step back from all the statistics.
Yeah.
Just walk around the countries, walk on the road, interact with the people. Most importantly, talk to those who remain in the country as investors. the businesses that remain, the businesses that are further investing, the businesses that are expanding. Ask them what are they seeing. What are they seeing that the others who are flying out are not seeing? And that's probably where you'll find the silver linings and the light at the end of the tunnel. So in summary, Ruwandi, the sentiment with which, in my opinion, investors need to come on board and join the party, I would coin that phrase as selective conviction.
Love it.
That would be the tagline with which I would go behind.
Lovely. We've been in conversation with the Group CFO of Hemas Holdings, Moiz Rehmanjee. Thank you very much for all your insights.
Thank you, Ruwandi. Good conversation.
Lovely. And thank you to all our viewers for joining us. Until next time, take care.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram and X. Thank you for watching and stay safe.